What's going on, guys? My name's Justin, and today I am here to show you why I think the HK416 is the best assault rifle in Ghost Recon Wildlands. So let's get to it. So I'm just going to say it right away, the HK416 scores very high in every category. It has excellent damage, accuracy, handling range, and rate of fire. Alright, so the first thing we're going to test today is range, and we all know, if you've ever seen Dark Dalley's in-depth videos, that the AUG A3 has the most range out of any weapon or assault rifle that is in the game, and as you can see here, it does show that a little bit, and there are certain levels in terms of bullet drop, and we're going to see what the 416 does here. So what we're going to do is we're going to test the AUG A3 at 250 meters. And then just to the right, we're going to check and see where the HK416 stacks up. And we are going to test the ACR just for reference, and you'll notice on the right that each weapon has the exact same parts, which are optimized for range for this test. And we're going to fire the ACR right down the middle here. You can see the AUG was just a little bit higher, but the ACR and the 416 had the same range from 250 meters out. Also today, I am really testing weapons that you can modify. So there are tons of DLC weapons in the game, or weapons that you can acquire from bosses that aren't necessarily modifiable. The ones I'm really focusing on are ones that are either available in the game or that you can download that you can modify. For this next test, we are going to test fire rate. And we all know that the G2 has the highest rate of fire of any assault rifle in the game. The 416 advertised has a pretty high rate of fire, but I will show you how the stat is inaccurate with other weapons in just a second. So with the G2 in full auto mode, we'll now fire and time it to see how long it takes. And next we're going to test the 416 to see how it stacks up. And lastly, we will be testing the ACR. So based on this test, we were able to determine that the 416 had the second highest rate of fire of any other weapon. It was tied with other weapons like the M4, the MK18, the LVOA, but it did edge out the ACR and then the G2 with the highest rate of fire in the game. Our next test is going to be on both accuracy and handling. I am basically using weapons that deal a certain amount of damage just to eliminate us from having to look at all these other weapons that might possibly have better handling but way less damage. So we're going to focus on things like kind of like the M4 and up. So that was the M4, and it looked like it ended just kind of towards the bottom of that tree there. We're going to do the same thing here with the 416. That was the 416, and it looked like that ended just below the tree, so that had quite a bit better handling than the M4. And we're going to take it a step further with the handling test. So right now I have the ACR, and it's fully spec'd to give you the best handling that you can get, as well as the 416. One quick thing is that the 416 does not have a stock that you can upgrade or adjust. So it's just the stock butt stock. That's the only thing that the ACR has that's better, but it shows that the ACR has quite a bit more handling characteristics than the 416. So we're going to test it. We're going to do the standing up one more time as well. As you can see, standing up, it looked like it trailed up to about the top of that building there. And now for the ACR. So the ACR jumped actually quite a bit higher with this test this time around. There are a few weapons that I don't have yet that I have yet to test. One is the FAL. Just based on the use in the guerrilla mode, that one has a pretty low rate of fire but higher power. And then the MK16, and I think like the S2000 or something like that that I have yet to test. Alright, and for this test, which I think is the most important, which is damage, we're going to really see how these stats might be misleading or not accurate at all. We're first going to test the MK17, which I think is the most powerful weapon in the game. We're just going to see how many shots it takes to blow up one of these vehicles here. So for the MK17, it took 10 shots out of a 30-round magazine. And now for the moment of truth where we can see where the 416 really stacks up. That was 13 shots. Well, as you can see, the MK17 took 10 shots to blow up a vehicle. The 416 took 13. Next, we're going to take a look at the MK18, which is a new DLC rifle, and it shows on paper that it has more damage than the MK17. So we're going to take a look. As you can see, the only difference, there's no long barrel option for the MK18. Everything else is the same. So even with the standard barrel, it shows that it has more power than the MK17. So we're going to take a look real quick from 50 meters away. So right there, it should be on fire if it was more powerful than the MK17. So it took 15 shots. That was 2 more shots than the 416. And if we look at the stats at the 416 compared to the MK18, shows that the MK18 has much more damage than the 416, yet the 416 took down a vehicle in 2 shots less than the MK18. And for reference, and I've been using this weapon all day for reference, the ACR, we're going to see how many it takes to destroy this vehicle. That was 14. So the 416 took 13, the ACR took 14. And then this is the AK-47. Which took 12. So if we look at the amount of bullets it took to take down a vehicle, the MK-17 took 10, followed by the AK-47, followed by the 416, which I think was in line with some other weapons that I'm not showing in this video, and then the ACR. So if we take a look at the ACR as well as the 416 outside of Tier 1 mode, it shows that they have the exact same damage on paper, but we've seen that the 416 takes 1 less bullet to take down a vehicle in the game. One other thing I won't go into is noise reduction. I tested this earlier, in which with a suppressor, pretty much every single assault rifle was suspected at about 35 meters out. So with the suppressor, it looks like to me every assault rifle is about the same, about 35 meters until someone starts to notice. Without the suppressor, it's really not a factor for me, because if you're going loud and people are going to hear you, so that's kind of really no factor for me. So first we're going to test out the ACR, see how many bullets it needs to take down Yuri.
Throwing a flashbang.
9 bullets. That took 9 bullets to take down Yuri, as you saw.
Yuri is down.
With the ACR. And now we are going to test the 416 to see how it really does in battle.
Lobbing a flashbang.
8 shots, so that took 1 less than the ACR. What we've learned, regardless of all the weapon stats on paper, the HK416 comes in 3rd for damage, 2nd for rate of fire and range for an assault rifle, and the best handling that I've seen for an assault rifle. The MK17 and the AK-47 edged out the 416 in damage, but had worse fire rate and handling. The G2 has a slightly higher rate of fire, but seriously lacks in damage and handling. There were no weapons with the same damage characteristics that handled as well as the 416. The AUG A3 has slightly less bullet drop over range, similar damage but severely lacks modifications as well as handling. The 416 basically stays in the top 3 or better in every category for an assault rifle. It also has a lot of modifiable parts for any situation, long range, grenade launcher, close quarters, etc. A few other things we've learned. Even though the MK17 shows it has the slowest rate of fire on paper, the AK-47 was proven to actually have the slowest rate of fire. The MK18 severely lacks damage even though the stats show that it's the most powerful assault rifle in the game. One other thing to consider, the developers can tune and adjust weapons parameters from time to time, so these findings are subject to change. As of right now, March of 2019, I believe the 416 is the best all-around assault rifle, and that could change if software patches are introduced or new DLC weapons come available. So there you have it, the 416 is the best assault rifle in Ghost Recon Wildlands. It has some of the best damage, range, and rate of fire. High damage and rate of fire means you can move on to other targets more quickly and efficiently, especially if you're in a tougher difficulty like Tier 1. Great handling allows you to be more precise, and all these things together make it my favorite weapon in the game.